Himself no stranger to this lake, an Olympic champion here in '92. But here, the first final of the World Cup 2009, the women's doubles. In lane 1, Rodford and Greaves, Great Britain 2. In lane 2, the Belarusians, Fadetskaya and Shilupskaya. In lane 3, the favourites, Annie Vernon and Anna Bebbington, Great Britain 1. Next to them, the Polish double, Julia Michalska, Agta Gramatyka. Outside in lane 5, Laura Schiavoni and Elisabetta Sancasani from Italy. And the second Polish double out in lane 6, Magdalena Fulazek and Natalia Madaj. And just the crews sitting quietly on the start. Start's very close to the road here, Greg, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice view when you sit on the start. You can get your coaches right up behind you, and you've got a nice view as you look down the valley here in Banyoles. And the athletes will be sitting there just waiting for the time to tick by. I think it's about another minute or so before they get going. And it's lovely conditions here today, Martin.
Yeah, normally you'd see on the start the bows of the boats held in these orange boots, but here there's no need to keep them straight. There's very little crosswind, so the athletes have heard the call over and they're ready now for the start of this first final of the 2009 World Cup. And that looked like a very quick start by the Belarusians over there in lane 2, but a good start from all crews as they move away in the first 100 metres of this race, past the red boys and out into the race proper.
Yeah, they've got away nicely, and as we see, there's beautiful conditions and clean blade work as the Polish we saw there getting away. Although it's that British pair that you did say were favourites, Bebbington and Vernon, getting away to a good start and looking like they're heading the field, aren't they there?
Yeah, now these two women have got real pedigree in this event. Anna Bebbington, she was in the double scull that finished 3rd in the Beijing Olympics, famously just about 6 feet behind the gold medal winners. And Annie Vernon, well, she had a very different Beijing experience. She's in the bow, we're looking at her, just switched to the Belarusians, but Vernon, she was in the bow of that British quad that agonisingly lost that race to China. But Belarusia, these two women, very strong, very powerful. Of course, Belarusia home to the great single sculler Karsten, but it's the British out in front early on.
Yeah, the British have got away there, and the Belarusians are going to try to hold on to them as we get away into the race here. We saw them at 39 strokes per minute there. The Brits settling into a good solid stroke rate. Got them there at about 34.5 strokes per minute, that they've settled now to their pace. And let's see if that strength that you talked about is able to start to move them away from the field now.
Well, you know, it's quite an interesting double combination, this, because they did row together in 2006 at the World Championship in Eton, the British double, but they could only manage 4th place. But these two young athletes have got a real pedigree. They've moved on, they've both won Olympic medals, and they've got a race here later on in the quad, so they're going to have a very, very hard day today. So they'll want to get in front early and dominate this race, Greg.
I'm sure they will want to dominate, and they've got their buddies from the quad they'll be rowing with later over there in lane 1, because both these British doubles doubling up. But we can see them there, looking like they're steering the boat pretty straight, looking like they're moving very well together, and you can just see the boat carrying on in between strokes as they look like they have managed to clear the field and get away, still sitting there on 34 strokes per minute. And looking quite solid leaders of the race here as we get to the second 500.
Yeah, well, this will be good news for them because they will look to dominate. I mean, just in case they needed it, Anna Bebbington in the stroke seat of that British double has got a fantastic turbo boost that she can turn on at the end of the races. But I'm not sure they'll need it. But I would imagine the Polish double with Julia Michalska, she's not in shot at the moment. We're looking at the Belarusians. But the Polish double who won their heat, I expect them to come up in the second half of the race. In fact, I think we can see them now, and with the red and white blades, with the 2 white hats on. Julia Michalska, well, she's got real form there. We're looking at her now just behind the stroke woman. She was 6th in the Olympic singles final, Greg, so she's got real form, moved into the double, trying to make a go of that boat for this year's World Championships.
Yeah, and the Polish double have also got the situation where they've got 2 doubles in the same race. So there's going to be that little bit of internal competition between them, as well as wanting to make sure they make a good showing against the British double. And they've managed to cut the British double's progress here and just try to hang on to that overlap as we come up here towards the halfway mark.
Just coming up to the halfway mark. I guess these doubles are going to go down the track in about 7 minutes and 10 seconds. I mean, the world record is 6:38, so there's no danger of that being broken in this event. But Belarussia there, I think in 4th place now, fallen off the pace, and it's the Polish double as we expected. And the Italians, we haven't said too much about the Italian double, Schiavone and Sanctisani, Greg.
Yeah, the Italian double been together since 2005, came 10th out in Beijing last year, and I understand there's been a bit of a change in the coaching structure in Italy, so they'll be looking to see if they can progress from there. But here we've got the Poles, who are still looking to apply pressure, and they look like they have made a slight move back there on the British, who aren't having it all their own way at 32 strokes per minute, wanting to sit on the field, but I don't think they can afford to do that in this third 500.
No, you know, I do think the British double have kind of problems in the middle of the course, so that's where they'd like to be better, but they do have this fantastic sprint finish, although I don't think they'll want to use it. I mean, if they're going to race in the quad later on.
Absolutely, they want to save it for the quad later on if they can, but talking to them, they do describe it that they've got a roller coaster relationship, which means they can have some big ups, and let's hope they can bring that in if they need it. Here we've got that established Italian double, as we said, together since 2005, and looking to see if they can move on the next Olympiad here.
I saw them have a great result last year in the Poznan World Cup. Well, they were right up close to the British double who got bronze in the Olympics, and they're certainly shown their form here, challenging Poles for that silver medal position, and that of course is going to push on this British double as we come towards the last 500 metres.
I think it is, and we'll have to see if the Brits do have that change of pace that we're hoping to see from them. They've had to up the stroke rate. I've got them now at about 35 strokes per minute as we come here into the last 500.
Paul Thompson, the Australian coach of the British women's team, looking on anxiously. I'm sure he thinks that his double are going to win, but he doesn't want them to have to work too hard. And the Italians now challenging, so we are going to have to see something from Bevington and Vernon. Yeah,
let's see what they've got. This could be a good test for them early season to see if they can respond when they start feeling a bit of pressure here from the Italians, who up the stroke rate look like they're going to put on some good pressure here in the last 500.
They look quite smooth, the Italians as well, that crew in blue. Just gone back to the British team there.
They certainly do. The British girls look stronger to me. See them taking a look over there, Anna taking a look out to the side, and check the progress of the Italians, and what she'll see is that they've got to keep putting in plenty of effort here.
I mean, they will try and be cool, the British. I think Annie Vernon, you know, she's so experienced, the bow woman in the British double, with that silver medal in the quad from Beijing, that she won't call on Bevington to go. Because if Bevington empties the tank, then, you know, maybe in the quad that's going to be difficult. But is that a little move there we see with 250 metres coming up, Greg?
250 metres there at 36. I think they've just taken it on. The Italians are also at 36. Let's see if the Brits are going to pull out a big last 30 strokes or so now and see what they can do to the field. It looks to me like they have made that change of pace. They've made the move against the Polish, who don't look like they're going to be challenging now for the gold. Let's see what the Italians are going to do as they look to sprint finish here.
I'd say that's a really great scull from the Italians coming up the stern of the British boat, but Bevington, she's got the power, and I think she's winding it up with about 100 metres to go. We see the Polish double there in 3rd place, trying to hang on to the Italians, but as they come in front of us, it's the British double of Vernon and Bevington, perhaps out a length in front, just stretching away from the Italians, who are in 2nd place, almost a length clear of the Poles as we come down to the finish line. Very difficult to say, and there's Bevington. Vernon just punches the air. The Italians in 2nd place, the Poles in 3rd, and I think it looks like the 2nd Polish double just coming through to take 4th place. Looking there at Annie Vernon, that's a real relief. That's a new doubles combination, and you know, the first competitive race for Vernon since she lost that gold medal in the Beijing Olympics, so I guess that's a real plus. Yeah,
but they certainly didn't have it all their own way here. We see they did manage to pull it out to a length at the finish, which, as you thought, suggested they do have a bit in the tank that they can pull out if they need it, and they turned it on in that last 250 metres and moved from half a length out to a full length lead at the finish. But I think as we saw them after the line, you can see they're puffing hard, and they had to work for that.
They did. You know, and it's quite interesting, this British women's setup, as we just move on to shots of the lake, because Catherine Granger won the women's singles trials.